Welcome back to Practically Political. It's so great to have you with us again. I'm Dave Spencer.
And I'm Carrie Sheffield. We're so glad to have you here at Practically Political. And we've got a special guest today, my friend Charlie Gasparino. You've seen him all over Fox and Fox Business and the New York Post. He is prolific in his writing, and he's about to have a new book come out, which he'll tell us more about it later on. But first, we're going to talk a bit about the presidential election. But Charlie, thank you so much for joining us.
Anytime. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, Charlie. And I guess we'll definitely get to your book, and I'd love to. You can tell our viewers a little bit about it, but I would just love to give your thoughts on what's going on, because I think all of us, even those who support Biden, or the so-called double haters, of which I am one, who don't really prefer either candidate but are going to hold our nose and vote for Biden, we're certainly dismayed by his performance a week ago on Thursday. So I'd love kind of your perspective as to what's going to happen. And I know, obviously, Kamala Harris is a big theme of your book, as potentially, as you would say, the first DEI potential president. But what's your take on where things are right now? And if you were the Dems, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I would definitely not listen to me, but that's a whole other story. Let me just explain where I get my information from. I deal with top Wall Street executives. They deal with people in D.C. So my information is filtered through that lens. I'm not part of the D.C. press corps. I cover finance mainly. I cover the confluence between finance and politics a lot. But I do a lot of stories on plain old mergers. I broke a bunch of news on Paramount being sold to Skydance. I mean, that's what I do. So remember, that's where my sourcing is. That said, my sourcing has been better than most of the DC press corps on some of this stuff, particularly as it relates to Biden's infirmity. And I'll just point something that I shared with Carrie earlier today. In June of 2023, I wrote this column about how Wall Street executives were saying, here's the plan for Biden to drop out, because he should drop out. This is June 20 of 2023. And that if he waits, past January 1 of 2024, he's really playing with fire. The sort of mechanics of reintroducing a new ticket is, even if he just flips it to his vice president, Kamala Harris, it's very difficult the way the whole thing goes. And this was last year, because I was hearing that he's not there. There's not a lot of there. And, and I'm on Wall Street. And by the way, the Wall Street research reflected that, because firms were coming out with reports on this. Here's how a brokered convention looks like. I mean, I did this story in the Post. I cited something from a Piper Jaffray report, which kind of laid it all out. And it was pretty prescient in the sense that, and the research, not necessarily my reporting, I'm just as good as my sources, that that if you waited to the end, it's nearly impossible to get rid of him or for him to leave. Like right now, I mean, the big storyline, and I know this thing will run in a couple of days, I guess, but now on Monday, the big storyline is that Joe Biden is saying, I'm in it to win it, and I'm the nominee. In some ways, they really don't have a lot of good choices, because they've waited this long, and his staff did a good job of covering it up. The press did a horrible job at their job. I mean, the DC press corps, and now we're in this sort of predicament where if he drops out, he gives it to a vice president that most people don't think is competent enough to run the country. If he doesn't drop out, she's going to be president, and he wins. This is if he wins. He's gonna, she's going to be the president, unelected. Or the Democratic Party will just be essentially look like complete imbeciles, because they covered it up for this guy for so long, and they literally are turning the country over to a guy that's a convicted felon. I mean, just get your hands around. Now, whether you think those charges are good, I think a lot of them are BS, but it's besides the point. He's a convicted felon. That's where the country's going right now, because Joe Biden didn't bite the bullet. His wife refused. His wife covered up his infirmities, and just said, don't do it for another term. And that's where we are. I mean, there are no good choices here. I mean, I don't care what, I got a lot of heat by calling Kamala Harris a DEI, first DEI person. I mean, no offense. I mean, Joe Biden said it. He said, I'm going to only pick a woman. And then after George Floyd, it was like only a black woman. I mean, it was right there. And think about that, what he did, how he narrowed the field. I mean, like, you can't pick Gretchen Whitmer. You can't pick, I mean, I think Gavin Newsom's an imbecile, but I mean, I guess he should have a shot at Pritzker or, Andrew Cuomo before he imploded. I mean, these are all kind of smart people that run states, and there are others. But so if you just, that's the problem with Joe Biden's been such a manifest thing. Trump was no bargain. Trust me. I mean, I could go through a lot of stuff on Trump.